and start the recording. And so in the chat, what I did, I put the sign-in sheet, and then I did put the bit.ly link for the slide deck if anybody would like to have that. Also in chat, if you could take a moment and answer these two questions. If you're brand new to Google Classroom, maybe let us know your thoughts, what you are most nervous or anxious about. If not, if you've used Google Classroom with your child before, what's one thing that you or your child like about Google Classroom? Or what is one thing that challenges you or your child about Google Classroom? So go ahead and put that in the chat. And as you're doing that here, I'll continue on to slide 4. So remember that as we're going through this tonight, don't be hard on yourself. You probably won't remember everything. If you do, kudos, and maybe you can teach me some strategies on how you remember everything, but it's okay if you don't. That's why I am giving you the slide deck, and we are recording this. So you'll have both of those to reference if you need to. Also, feel free to put questions in the chat window. I will tell you that, I've got the chat window over here on my other screen. If I don't see a question, feel free. We've got a small group tonight that you can unmute yourself and let me know what your question is. Again, our main focus is Google Classroom. If we have time and anybody wants me to talk about Google Meet, I'll talk about Google Meet as well, because that is how some schools are meeting with your child during the day if you are full remote. And then again, questions, feel free to drop questions in as we go or unmute. Here on slide 6, I do want to show you a couple links. This first link over here this is a virtual classroom that you might see a lot of teachers out there creating. But this link here is called the LTC Spark page. It's the Spark Parent Hub. And feel free, you'll be able to click on that and go to that. And again, there's more parent resources out there for you all. So if you keep scrolling down, it goes to the Parent Resource Hub, and you can see here's some resources over here to the left-hand side. And then here's an interactive slide deck as well. And that was, again, that was on slide 5 in the LTC Spark, that first link there. Real quick, my name is Lisa Schwartz. This is my 22nd year in education. And I have been, the last 3 years, I have been working with the Learning Technology Center. And that is as a regional ed tech coordinator. Hold on one second here. Okay, I think I was having some internet issues. Is everything good on your end? Can you still see my screen? Okay, perfect, thank you. If you want to learn more about the Learning Technology Center, here on slide 8 and 9, I've got some more information there as well. One thing I do want to touch on right here on slide 10 is make sure your child is logged into their Chrome profile that's associated with their school account. That, I would have to say, over the years is the #1 thing to check first if they can't access something. And what I mean by that, if in the upper right-hand corner here, do you see my Chrome profile? Make sure that is associated with your child's school account. So you can have different Google accounts tied to this Chrome profile here, but make sure that they're always signed in to their school account. If they have other accounts here, make sure they're signed out so that it doesn't go back and forth. I did put a couple links in here to talk about the Google Chrome profile. If this happens to you sometime, you can go back and take a look at those links to say, oh yeah, that lady talked about the Google Chrome profiles. And again, I could spend 10, 15 minutes on it, but it may not make sense to you until it happens to you. So if for some reason, if they're trying to access any documents, it may be because it's their pulling from their personal account instead of their school account. Here on these first few slides, it talks about Google's mission, and on slide 13 and 14, it talks about some of the different apps out there that's within the G Suite for Education that your child has access to. Also here on slide 15 and 16, I've got lots of other resources here that could help you on your journey with Google Classroom with your child. So again, feel free to use this slide deck as a reference. When you are stuck, you might be able to click on some of these links here, especially this Classroom Help link, that you might be able to find your answer. Moving on here to Google Classroom Overview. What we're going to look at today is joining a classroom, and we're going to look at two main tabs here, the Stream tab and the Classwork tab. And again, I am going to jump into Google Classroom here and demo some of this. So hopefully everyone had a chance to put in chat what you like about Google Classroom, anything that is a challenge for you. As you can see, I haven't had time to look over to read everything that's in chat, but hopefully that gives you some idea of different things out there for the people who have been using Google Classroom, to see if they're struggling with the same thing you are. And feel free to use this chat as, if you have a question and someone else out there knows the answer, feel free to go ahead and answer anybody's question as well. So let me jump over and demo Google Classroom here and show you what the kids will see. So what I'm going to do, I am going to go into Blake's Google Classroom account. And if I look right over here, I've got his picture right up here in his Google Chrome profile, and then I've got his Google account right here. So this is an account, this is my student account I have with the LTC. So that shows you it's Blake. So if this is Blake's first time going into Google Classroom, or your first time going into Google Classroom, there's a couple different ways they could go. They could click on this waffle. The waffle is in the upper right-hand corner here to the left of my Google account. So some people call it different names, but I call it the waffle, and I think a lot of people in the Google world do call it the waffle as well, but I've heard other people call it the ice cube tray or just the 9 dots. So anytime you hear that, it just takes you to the Google apps. If you click on that waffle, then I can see all of my Google apps that I have available to me. So right here, Classroom is here. So I can click on Classroom to go into Google Classroom here. I could also type in up here, classroom.google.com. So anytime I want to go to any of Google's apps out there, if I type in drive.google.com, docs.google.com, it will take me there as well. So you can do that. If your child does have a Chromebook or an iPad or a MacBook that they're accessing Google Classroom from, it could be an app already on their device. If it's on a Chromebook, it could be on the shelf that's on the bottom of their, at the bottom of their Chromebook as well. So depending on how your school district has that set up, there's multiple ways to go about accessing your Google Classroom. So right here, these are all of the classes that Blake is in. If this was his first time joining a class, all he would have to do is come up here to this plus sign in the upper right-hand corner and join a class. So again, it's saying you're currently signed in as Blake. If I want to, I could switch accounts here as well. And then they would just have to, Blake would just have to put in the class code provided to him from the teacher. So he can't join a class unless if he has a class code. And the only way to join a class for your school district is you have to have a Google account within the same domain. So meaning if you are from the Clinton School District, you would have to have a Clinton Google account. So again, if this somehow switched to his personal account, it wouldn't allow him to access that Google Classroom. He can only access it through his school account. So once he's in, then he can go into his classroom. So I'll go ahead and go into this Google 101 classroom of Blake's. And how this is set up, this is called the stream. Here at the top of the page, you have 3 tabs. And again, this is the student's view. You've got the stream, you've got the classwork, and the people. The stream tab is the tab where the teacher can push out announcements. It could look different depending on how the teacher decides to set it up. The teacher, just like we're trying to give your child some voice and choice in completing assignments, Google's giving the teacher some voice and choice how their Google Classroom looks. So how I have this Google Classroom set up is I can push out an announcement here, and then if Blake wanted to, he can respond back. And when he does, this goes to the whole class. In stream, whatever you type in stream goes to the whole class. Now, your teacher may turn off the stream for the kids, where the kids can't comment back. The teacher could also turn off where your child can't post back. So don't be alarmed if your child can't post or comment on stream. The teacher may have set it up to turn that feature off for the kids. But the teacher can still push out announcements here in the stream. So if you go right here and here in stream, and right here with share something with your class. So Blake can also post something here if he wants to share it with the whole class. If he's having trouble with an assignment and he wants to see, you know, it's 11 o'clock at night and the teacher is probably not on, he can maybe post a message here to see if any other students are on who can help him. He can also add things here to the stream. If he wants to add something from Google Drive, a link or a file, or even a YouTube video. So do you see why, depending on the age of the child, why the teacher may turn off the posting here on stream? Because some kids may want to post a funny video and fill up the stream. So again, it's a learning experience, teaching the kids about being good digital citizens, about what they should or should not post here. But even if the teacher turned off where the child can't post, it can still be turned on that the child could post or could comment. So right now it's turned on that Blake can comment back. Another thing here on stream, how it's set up is over here on the left-hand side, it shows upcoming work. So it's just usually a snapshot of what's upcoming that's going to be due soon here in his Google Classroom. If he wants, he can view all to see everything that's out there that is coming up due or is missing. So as you saw right there, I was on the stream. If your child wants to click view all, then you can see everything. There's another spot you can see that as well. The other thing for stream, teachers can, you know, hear good morning, put a YouTube video in there. Another teacher, I have a co-teacher on here. You can have, that classroom could have more than one teacher on there. So if you see messages from another teacher, that could be the case. So the second teacher, the co-teacher for this classroom is Holly Kelly. Another thing here on stream is the Google Meet link here that your child, if you are full remote, that your child may see, and this is where they can go into a Google Meet with their teacher. I will talk about Google Meet more at the end if anybody wants to, but I just want to share with you again real quick on this Google Meet link. If the child clicks on it and it's not time to meet, they will get a message that they can't go into the meeting until the teacher goes in there. So don't panic if you see that Google Meet link there. The child can't go in and randomly talk to other kids in the class if the teacher's not there. But the Google Meet link is there. So if, you know, the child knows that every day at 10 a.m. they click on that to meet with their teacher, the link is there. The teacher doesn't have to do more work to provide that link. And again, until the teacher gets into that Google Meet link, the kids can't get in. They'll get that error message that when I clicked on it, it says something went wrong. You can't create a meeting yourself. They'll get this message, but because the teacher's not in there. So that's on the stream. If you go back to the slide deck here, right here, I just went over some things on the stream. So again, students and teachers can ask questions or comment back and forth if that setting is turned on. If it's not turned on, then the kids might not be able to post or comment. So the other thing with stream, so I've got here on slide 25 and 26, you know, I did a snapshot here and gave you some more information there, because again, you're getting a lot of information thrown at you right now, and you can use this as a reference to look back later. So again, this kind of goes through about responding to announcements on stream. If I go back into stream, I want to show you one other thing. Now, your teacher can decide if they want to have work, like a message to show up here every time they assign work. So right now, this teacher, which is me, decided to turn that off, that this doesn't show anytime I post things to the classwork page. The classwork page, that's where you're going to find all of your child's assignments. So the other thing you can see on the stream, if the teacher has it turned on, is just a quick announcement here of when you've got some new work there. So let me, as the teacher of that class, let me go in and change that so you can see both sides of it. So again, if the teacher right now, I've got it set up to hide my notifications from classwork. If I just show a condensed notification, I'll show you what that looks like here. And this was the teacher side of it, so don't panic about needing to know that. Let me go back to Blake's classroom here. And so right now, since I changed my settings here, this shows that the teacher posted a new assignment. Shows that the teacher posted new material, new assignment here. So this may or may not be on your child's stream. So don't worry, because you can access all of this from classwork. Okay, so that's the stream. Any questions or comments about the stream?
Can I ask a question?
You sure can.
About the link to the Meet. You know, on Monday morning, our student has to meet with her teacher at 10, and we have a lot of trouble with getting that to open. Is there a trick or something?
There shouldn't be. If you want, and is this Mary Jo?
Yes.
Okay. If you want Mary Jo, maybe you can stay on after, and maybe we can take a look at it, or
okay,
do a separate Zoom another time, because there could be some different issues on the back end of how your Google admin has it set up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. All right, again, when you have questions, let me know here or put them in chat. The next thing I'm going to talk about here is the Classwork tab. Again, if you want to go through these slides and see how the Classwork tab's organized and learn about it that way, you sure can. You've got the next almost, 8 slides there that talk about Classwork tab. What I'm going to do, I'm going to switch back to the student side of it and demo the Classwork tab for you. So here on the Classwork tab, this is the student, Blake's account here. All he has to do is go to the Classwork tab. Now here in the Classwork tab, there's a few different things. Right here, we've got the Google Meet link here as well that he can access. He can also access Google Calendar. As soon as this Google Classroom was created, on the back end, Google created a calendar called Google 101 for your child. So if Blake clicks on this Google Calendar, this is another way he could see what is due. So right now, for the Google 101 classroom, there is nothing coming up to be, that's due this week or here in the next few weeks. I can maybe add something to it to show you, but if I go back here to August, this shows you, like, here's an assignment that was due on the 12th, the 13th, the 27th, 26th. And if you see the difference here, some of these have the time that it's due at 11:58 p.m. If it doesn't have the time, then it's just due that day. But sometimes if the teacher can set it up to have it, your child to turn it in by a certain time. So if you don't see the time, don't panic, just know that it's due by the end of that day. So that's the calendar view, and that opens up a separate tab up here for the calendar. Now you can also, go to the calendar view by just going to the calendar app. So it takes you to the calendar app is what it does. So if you have some other calendars over here, it shows the other Google Classroom. I'm looking at the left-hand side of my screen where it says other calendars. It shows Sangamon Valley, Google 101. He's got some of these other classes here. So he can click on different ones to see. So this one, if I don't want any other calendar to be shown, I can turn them off and I can just see what's due for Google 101. If I want to jump into this class, I can see what's due for this class. And do you see how it's color coded? So you kind of can see the difference there. So everything in this, is that like more like a blue, that, or a periwinkle, shows that that's all of that's due in the Sangamon Valley class. So again, you can have them all on or turn them off by clicking on the check and only having certain ones show at a time. So again, if I'm done with this, I can click out of the X from this tab and close out of the calendar. But anytime I can go to the calendar right here from my Google Classroom, or I can go up here to a new tab and type in calendar.google.com, or even go over here to the waffle to the right-hand side of the screen, click on the waffle and go to the calendar that way. I also have a Drive folder. So again, as soon as this class was created, there is a folder in your child's Drive under the Classroom folder called whatever the class is called. So if your child has more than one class, it is organized by class. Here's another spot they can view all of their work. So if I click on that, this shows, right now it's all. I see everything that was assigned, missing, things that were assigned but maybe no due date, things that were turned in. And another thing you see here, besides the name of the assignment, you see if there's something been attached anytime you see that paper clip. So this is showing that there's 2 attachments that Blake needs to complete to turn in because it's showing it's missing. If I come down here to this assignment, what are the new 7 wonders? This shows that there's 2 comments there. Anytime you see that icon there, the comment box, and then the number 2 means that there's 2 comments there. And then again, he attached one file to this assignment. So keep scrolling down, 3 comments, 1 comment, 1 attached, 1 attached. So if you don't see that, that means there's nothing attached there or there's no comments. Then once it's been turned in and the teacher grades it and returns it to the child, you can see the grade right here. So a couple different places you can see the grade, but here's one of them. And then I'm sure that teacher will also put that grade will go into your school district's grade book as well. And here's one thing, if there's a lot of school information systems out there that don't sync with Google Classroom, so the teacher might have to manually put in a 15 out of 20. So as a teacher, what I always told the students, always double check me. Human error, I could make a mistake. So if it shows 15 out of 20 here, and then in the grade book, whether it's Skyward, Teacher Ease, Power School, whatever it may be, there's lots out there. If it only shows 14 out of 20 or 10 out of 20, let me know so I can change that, because again, with human error transferring the grades. Now, some school information systems on the back end do sync with Google Classroom. So the teacher may not have to manually enter the grades. So then you probably won't have any errors. But again, just, don't hesitate to contact your teacher if you see in Google Classroom that your child got a certain grade, and then in the grade book it shows different. So that was under the Your View. So right now this was all in for everything. If I come over here to the left-hand side under All, if I just want to see all of Blake's work that's been assigned, I can see everything that's been assigned, it's even throwing in the missing right here. If I go to Returned, click on Return, this should only bring up everything that's been returned. So anything that's been returned, if your teacher decides to put a grade on it, here's a grade. And here's something else. This shows, this All About Me assignment here shows that it's not turned in. So another thing a teacher could do is return it to the child, and depending on the school district's policy, in this case, return it to the child, but then give them a chance to redo it. So Google Classroom allows them to submit their work and unsubmit it, or redo it and turn it back in. So that is why that's showing up not turned in. And sometimes I would go ahead and put a grade on it to give them, hey, if you don't finish this assignment, or this is what your grade will be if this is how you keep it. But if not, if it was an assignment I could allow them to redo, majority of the students did redo that. Now, I did have some kids say, hey, I'm happy with a 7 out of 10, and they'll keep it. So again, it's different things, but like here, this 1 out of 10 assignment, sometimes I would have kids, if it was an option, that they could redo that assignment as well. So again, check out what your district's policy is on that, or your teacher's policy. And then if I click on missing, this will show me all of my missing work. So here, assigned shows me what's assigned, and it throws in the missing as well. If I just want to see all of Blake's work that he's missing, that it's past the due date, if it had the due date on it, it will pop up and say, oh, we've got some work to do, Blake. You've got all of these missing assignments here. Now, you have to have your child log in to their Google Classroom for you to be able to see this. There's no parent view to see this. So you have to, everything I'm showing you right now is the child account. So, and this is, as a parent myself, this is my #1 way to look at my child's work. It's a great way to have a discussion about what he is doing in class. So this is under the Classwork tab, and that was under View Your Work, is everywhere I was just at. Now, what you see here on the Classwork tab is, here's some assignments here that they're not under a topic, they're just there. So depending on how your teacher wants to set this up, again, they have choice in the matter. So if you look over here on the left-hand side, you see topics. So your child's teacher might decide to put different topics here to put work under. I will tell you that #1 way that teachers are using the topics section here during remote learning or hybrid learning is they are putting all of the work under the week. So this week, the week of September 14th, here's all of the work, and they're putting it under that topic. If not, again, they have some choice. So if they want to put all of the assignments that is using the Insert Learning extension, they could put that under the Insert Learning topic. They choose what topics are over here on the left. So if there's videos that I want the kids to watch, I put a topic videos, and I can push it out, all of the videos under that topic. Hopefully your child's teacher will talk about how they've set up the classwork page and topics. If you don't know right away, feel free to reach out to ask. them to see how they've organized the topics, because you will see this can be after the teacher uses Google Classroom for months on end or for the entire year. This classwork page right here can be fairly lengthy. So, and another thing is if they have, you might not know where they assign something, what to do next. So as you can see here, you could be scrolling and you could easily miss something. So that's why a lot of teachers right now during remote learning or hybrid learning, their topics are either by the day or by the week. And then they know, hey, here's all of the assignments for the week of September 14th, and they go there. So if we know some assignments are in the science topic, I can just click on the science topic over here. And what happens here, then it takes me to all the science assignments. And if I try to scroll, I can't. It is only showing science. If I want to see the scratch assignments, again, I can go to the scratch assignments, the geography assignments here, that it just puts that topic's assignments there in case of the all topics, when I click on that, if that's too much. So again, it allows for differentiation for you and your child to find the assignments. Another thing that I did as a teacher is I started numbering the assignments. So I don't know if your child's teacher does that, but what I found that helped the parent, the child, and the teacher to know that, hey, yesterday we completed assignment 22. Let's look on here. Is there any assignment 23? So, and another key thing here, if you might want to write this down, unless if you already know it, there's a shortcut key that I can search for things. So if I click on, if I'm on a Chromebook, if I click on Control F, that allows me to find on the page. So if your child is looking for the assignment 23, or you're trying to help your child to look for assignment 23, how I've got it set up is the number symbol 0, 2, 3. Then it shows me I've got a 1. I've got a hit 1 out of 1. I can go down here. Here's my 23rd assignment, this get to know you activity. So then you can easily click on that instead of you scrolling all the way through. And if you see 23 happens to be at the bottom of this list. So again, that's an easy way, clicking on Control F to find on the page. So if they don't number it, that's fine. But if you know maybe the word states is in the title, or something that's in the title, if I put states in, here's a hit 1 out of 1. Now, the reason that I did the number symbol and then 0, 2, 3, because if I was searching for just the very first assignment, I got 56 hits. What it does is it goes and finds all of the ones. So here in 15, August 12th, here's one comment. So that's why I went ahead and put the pound symbol here, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 2, or whatever it may be. So if I go and search the second assignment, again, 40 hits because it's taking all of the 2s from the dates that I have there. And even here, 23. So if you're on a MacBook, it's Command F is the shortcut key for a MacBook. So then that's how the classwork page is set up. So let's say your child then is going into, needs to complete an assignment. So let me go back here to geography. And let's say that, so he's got the assignment World Lakes here. So how this is set up, I don't know if you saw, I just went ahead and clicked on this assignment right here, and I clicked on it. It takes me then to the assignment part of it. So it shows me when the teacher added it, that it's worth 20 points, when it's due, and then these are the materials that the teacher put in here for me to complete the assignment. And sometimes with these assignments, it could be where the students could just view the work, they could maybe edit it, or it could be make a copy for them. So again, this is where they see the work. So if you look over here, your work right here, if this is something that they could, if something was made a copy for them, then they could, it's their own copy. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. So even though this shows that Blake has turned this in, he can unsubmit it at any time. Now, if he unsubmits it after the due date, then that'll show that if I go ahead and hit unsubmit here, then it could show up, it would show up missing, and it could show up then when he turns it back in that it was late. Will the teacher know? Yeah, it logs everything the child does on here. So if it shows the child unsubmitted this and turned it back in, it will show that on the teacher side, and I can show you that as well. But right here, besides the assignments, whether it's a video, so right here they could push out a video for the kids to watch. They could push out a Google slide. They can push out, any files here for the kids to work on, or if it's material to go along with the lesson. Here's a Google Docs. So right here, you see Blake posted a comment, "I don't understand." So if the teacher has this turned on, this class comment will go back to the whole class. The whole class would see this, that he doesn't understand this assignment for the World Lakes. So it would be pushed out there on the stream as well, that all the kids could see this as well. If he wants to, if he realizes he made a mistake, if he comes over here to the 3 dots, do you see the 3 dots aren't there right now, but if you hover over there, they show up. If he clicks on the 3 dots, he can always delete his class comment, okay? But if he really doesn't understand and he wants the teacher to know and not the whole class, right down here to the right-hand side, it shows private comments. So right here, he could message the teacher, and if you're helping your child, this is where your child could message the teacher, and then the teacher will get this message. Now the teacher can respond back to your child, and you would see the private comment here. So you'll get notifications as well, but this is where you would go also to look. Now, right here, if Blake didn't have any work right here, he could add or create work right here. So if he needs to turn something in for this assignment, if he clicks on add or create, if the teacher's giving him choice in how he finishes the assignment, he could add, if he's already has something completed that's in his Google Drive as a link or a file, or he could come down here where it says create new. He could create a new doc, a slide, sheet, or drawing right from here. And what's nice about doing this right in the classroom environment, watch what happens. Let's say he needs to create a new doc right here. If he clicks on docs, what happens is it creates it in the Google Classroom environment. It goes ahead and puts his name on it and the name of this assignment. So again, he doesn't have to worry about doing that. And then up here on the tab, it says the same thing. If he goes ahead, he can go ahead and, type his assignment here, whatever he needs to do. And another thing about Google Classroom, the teacher can see real time what your child is working on. So even though Blake hasn't turned this in, the teacher can see what he's worked on. So let me switch over to the teacher side real quick. And that was the World Lakes assignment under geography. So again, this is the teacher side of it. So even though Blake hasn't turned this in, the teacher can click on this and see his 4 attachments and what he's done. Okay, so here's something he's worked on. If I go ahead and click on this, whoops, when I clicked on the arrow, that went to another student. If I come over here to the right-hand side, then this is the teacher side. So don't worry, don't panic if your child's screen won't look like this, but I just wanted to show you here. Even though Blake hasn't turned this in, the teacher can see real time. Oh, Blake's, typed a few things here. It shows that he's in this right now. It shows his cursor and his name. So then the teacher right now could maybe send a private comment. I see that you have some work done. Can I help you with whatever? And hit post. Then Blake will see this comment then. So another thing I want to show you, you know how I showed you that Blake unsubmitted that assignment? If the teacher goes up to see history here, this shows the teacher, here's when it was assigned, here's when the draft was graded, the total points changed, here's when Blake turned it in. So he turned it in on time, but then he unsubmitted it, and then it'll show, if I go back and turn it back in, it'll show turned in and what day and time. So everything is time stamped. So let me go back to Blake's here. So what he can do you see right here, it's got my picture up here of my Google account. That lets Blake know, hey, your teacher's in this assignment right now. And if you need help, I could even comment on this paper with Blake in Google Docs, and Blake could comment back in Google Docs here as well. So there's a lot of places that they can collaborate, not only with the teacher, but if other students were on this assignment. So if Blake is done with this, he can go ahead and, do you see turn in right up here in the right-hand corner? He can go ahead and turn this in. Now, that turn in button may not be there if you did not create it here within the classroom environment. If you just went to the app, docs.google.com, he would have to go in and add and upload it. So if you know ahead of time to create it from here, that would make your child's life easier and your life easier, because all you would have to hit the turn in button. So when I hit the turn in button from that assignment, it's saying, hey, these 4 attachments will be submitted for this assignment. Yeah, that's what I want, so I hit turn in. I will tell you this, the turn in feature, again, as a teacher, I don't have to wait for them to turn it in for me to see what they're working on, or if they've even started or even attempted the work, that I can go in on the teacher side of it and see and hopefully help out, and I don't have to wait until it is due to know whether they understand it or not. So again, right here it says unsubmit. Now let's say Blake realizes that he wants to open up that Google Doc again and realizes that he didn't do everything. Now you'll see, if he opens this up, what do you see different on this Google Doc that is not on this one? Well, I guess since I've turned it in, I don't have it. But if you see up here in the upper right-hand corner, what is different? Oh, is my audio still cutting out? Mindy asked. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so the request edit access, Blake can't go back in and change anything once he's turned it in. Why is that? So the teacher doesn't start grading their assignment and think that she's going insane or he's going insane, and things are changing as they're grading the assignment. So while you've got it turned in and the teacher's grading it, Blake cannot edit it. So if he clicks on request edit access, it's just going to send an email to your teacher saying, hey, I want to edit it. The workaround for that, let's say he turned it in and realized, oh, he forgot something. He can go back to his Google Classroom, and guess what he clicks on? Unsubmit. Yep. So if he clicks on unsubmit, then that will give him ownership back for that, for any of these documents or files right here. It does show since he turned it in after the due date, it was due May 27th, it does show turned in late. But again, on the teacher side, the teacher can see under history that originally he had it turned in on time, and then it just hasn't updated here. Then it's showing that it was turned in on September 16th. So it shows right there, or if I go to see history, I can see, hey, it was turned in late on 6:48 p.m. on September 16th. So let me switch back to Blake's account then. So sometimes the teacher will push out material for and assignments for the kids that is make their own copy. Sometimes if it's an assignment here like this Google Slides, if this was a collaborative assignment, then he could be working on this assignment. If they gave him editing rights, he could work on this assignment with other students so that it would be right there. So there is a difference here if it's editing or if it's make your own copy. If the teacher pushed it out to make a copy, then it's over here. And then another thing here, do you see I click on Google 101 up here? That takes me back to the home screen of the stream. Now, another thing I want to talk about here, if I go to these 3 lines in the very left-hand corner, this is where he can see all of his classes. Here's another way to get to calendar. Here's another place you can get to the to-do. A little bit different view, but right here it goes to assigned, missing, and done. It was very similar to what we saw in the Classwork tab under View Your Work. It's just a different way to go about doing this. It shows done early, this week, last week, and earlier. So the 3 lines in the very left-hand corner, you can see everything to do from all of your classes. Now, you can archive your classes if you would like, and that's when you don't have that class anymore. Instead of deleting it, you can archive it so you can still go back and look at assignments and things that you've done. And then here's another thing. If you see the settings, this gear, if you go to this is where your child can have choice in what notifications they receive. Now, depending on the age of your child may have a Google email account with the school district. So every time something happens in Google, they may get in the Google Classroom, they may get an email saying, hey, right here, comments that mention you, private comments on work. So not only do they have the comments there in Google Classroom, but they can get it in their email. I will tell you, after using Google Classroom for many years, I have chosen to turn off my email notifications because I know where to look at for the private comments. I know where to look for things, in Google Classroom. If you're worried about missing a private comment that the teacher might respond back to you, you might want to leave this on. So you have the choice of turning off all of the email notifications, or if you turn them on, you have a choice and your child has a choice of which ones to turn on or off. So anytime work is returned and graded from your teacher, do you want a notification? If you do, you will get an email. So go through those if you want to keep them on, see which ones you want. Some of you may want to keep them all on, and that is fine. So again, know that you can always go back to the Google Classroom and see the comments there. You would just need to go into that assignment to see if the teacher has given you a comment there. So again, you've got some choice in how you receive email notifications within Google Classroom. What are your questions about the Classwork tab? Or comments or frustrations? Again, if you're thinking of any, here on the slide deck, I also have it here on slide 33. So what is your child able to turn in? So right here, sometimes where it said turn in before, they may just have to mark as done. Maybe the teacher doesn't have anything that they have to turn in. So just make sure they mark as done. Or if they're editing an assignment together, it's collaborative. Again, they may not have to turn it in over here. They just mark it as done. A couple other things. The teacher could attach a rubric and put that in Google Classroom so your child knows exactly how they're getting graded. They have that option to attach a rubric as well. And then there's also a spot where the teacher could turn on this Originality Report, which is a plagiarism report. And it's meant to help teach the student that, hey, this is copied word for word from this website, and give them a second chance to go ahead and put it in their own words. And so that's if the teacher turns on the plagiarism report for an essay. Let me talk about Guardian Summaries here. I didn't spend a lot of time on Guardian Summaries because, yeah, it's nice to have, but I know even as a parent, the way I really want to know about Google Classroom is I have my child log into their Google account, their Google Classroom, and I interact with their Google Classroom with them and ask questions that way. Because with the classroom, this Guardian Summary, I don't get to see everything that my child sees in Google Classroom. So here on slide 37, here's some information for you. Slide 38, the only thing I see in my Guardian Summaries is any missing work Blake may have, upcoming work that he may have due, and class activity. And again, here on slide 39, it kind of goes more in depth, but I don't get to see a whole lot. How I see the most is having my child log into their Google Classroom. And then you may not get an email summary that day or that week. It depends on how you've got it set up, if there's no activity to report. So here, again, I can't stress that enough, where the star is. The other thing here, I put a link in here. You can click on this and go into Classroom Help if you want to get help about this email summaries that you get. Here on slide 40, this was just a snapshot of, this was Cole's Google Classroom here in the spring. Here's what he had missing from last week, and here's what he had due next week. This was, again, it didn't show me a lot compared to having my child log into their Google Classroom and seeing it from there. Grades, again, the child can see their grades at the top of the assignment, or if they go into their work to see it as well. So again, feel free to use this slide deck as reference to go back through. If you want to, you have access to it. If you want to have access to this after tonight, what you might need to do is bookmark it. Click on the star to bookmark this tab, and or right here where my mouse is, to the right of this star, I could star it there or add it to my drive. So add the shortcut to my drive so then you can access it later if you so choose. Another big thing, anytime your child is in any of the Google apps, make sure that they're in the Google Chrome web browser. If they open up Google Classroom or Google Docs in the Safari web browser, they may not have all of the functionality of that app if it's not in the Google Chrome web browser. So I'll leave you with this here on slide 53. I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better. Quote by Maya Angelou. Remember, don't be so hard on yourself if you don't remember everything from tonight. You will pick it up as you're working with your child with Google Classroom. And they can maybe teach you some things. Maybe you can teach them some things about Google Classroom now that you joined us tonight. But you will have the slide deck, you'll have the recording. My email here is up there on maybe slide 6 or 7. Feel free to email me. Someone from last night's workshop emailed me right before this workshop and I had time. I did a quick Zoom with her to help troubleshoot some of the issues that she had about using Seesaw. Before I leave you here, I do have an evaluation, and I can put this link in chat as well. I think there's 4 or 5 questions on there. If you can take a moment to fill that out as well, it would be greatly appreciated. But I will stay on if there's questions. I know I'm over the time here, but I do want to honor your time. So when you need to go, feel free to go. But make sure you've signed in so we can log that. And then if you have any questions about signing in, getting this slide deck, or whatever it may be, I will stop the recording, so then you can feel free to unmute and ask questions or continue putting questions in the chat. But again, thank you for your time tonight.